Vitamin E is another fat soluble vitamin which is known as tocopherol. There is not only a single vitamin listed in the vitamin E, there are set of 8 different compounds. Which are known as vitamin E. Among these set of 8 compounds, 4 are termed as tocopherol and tocopherol, and other 4 are termed as tocotrienol. This type of distribution is made on the basis of chemical moiety which is present within the structure of vitamin E. This type of distribution is made due to the presence of different chemical moiety within the chemical structure. So it is not a single vitamin, it is a group of 8 different compounds, and among 8 different compounds, 4 are termed as tocopherol, another 4 are, or the corresponding 4 are termed as tocotrienol. As far as occurrence of this vitamin is concerned, it is found in plant oils. For example, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil. It is also found in cabbages, yeast, lettuce, peanuts, and many animals are the best source of vitamin E. For example, fishes, octopus, snail, and Atlantic salmon. Salmon is the name of fish, okay? This vitamin was first time discovered in 1935 and it is synthesized in 1938. This vitamin was discovered in 1935 and synthesized means the synthetic form was available by 1938. Now come to the chemistry of this vitamin. As I told you in the introduction that it is a set of 8 different compounds. Tocopherols differ from each other in the number and position of methyl group. Tocopherol differ from each other in the number and position of methyl group. 8 different types are existing, but 4 are of dietary significance. And these are alpha tocopherol, beta tocopherol, gamma tocopherol, and delta tocopherol. Alpha, beta, gamma, and delta tocopherol. And as I said that these are differentiated on the basis of position of methyl group. For example, in alpha tocopherol, methyl group is attached at 5, 7, and 8 position, and 3 methyls are present. Therefore, we can term it as 5,7,8 trimethyl tocol. It is a complete chemical name. 5,8,7 trimethyl tocol. टोकोफिरोल है। अच्छा, ये टोकोफिरोल जो टर्म थी ना, जब पहली बार इसको आइडेंटिफाई किया गया था तो ये नाम दिया गया था टोको एंड फिरोल, मीन्स रिलेटेड विद द चाइल्ड बर्थ। बट लेटर ऑन व्हेन इट इज डिस्कवर्ड तो उसका ऐसा कोई रोल नहीं था चाइल्ड बर्थ में या रिलेटेड विद द एम्ब्रियोनिक डेवलपमेंट, बट इसका नाम उसी की बेसिस पर रखा था टोकोफिरोल। Later on, it was termed as an antioxidant vitamin, and all of you know that it is sufficiently present in different type of creams and lotion to minimize the oxidative stress that will damaging your skin. So it is considered as a good product if it is included in such type of products which are used for the beautification. Okay. While beta tocopherol जो है, it is comprising of 5,8 dimethyl tocol, or it is chemical name of beta tocopherol is 5,8 dimethyl tocol. Tocol, T-O-C-O-L, tocol. The most abundant among all these four is alpha tocopherol. The most abundant form of vitamin E is alpha tocopherol, and it is considered as the most active form too. It is considered as the most active form too. The ring structure of vitamin E, like vitamin D का ring structure क्या था? Cyclopentanophenols ring था, ठीक है? So the ring structure in vitamin E is termed as chromanol. Its antioxidant property is due to the presence of hydroxyl or phenolic group at carbon number 6. Its antioxidant activity or property is due to the presence of hydroxyl or phenolic group at carbon number 6 in the chain structure. In the chain structure means if we are going to remove that hydroxyl group, so there is no antioxidant activity will remain with vitamin E. Acha, what is the difference between tocopherol and tocotrienol? When you will check the chemical structure in the slide which I have shown, that there are 8 set of different compounds: alpha, beta, gamma and delta. There is tocopherol and their respective tocotrienol. How they are differentiated? Within the chemical structure or within the chain structure, there is a ring structure which is known as chromanol, and this chromanol is attached with a side chain. This side chain is either saturated and unsaturated. The side chain is either saturated and unsaturated. Okay. The side chain in the set of 8 compound is either saturated and unsaturated. When it is saturated, we use the term tocopherol, and when there is unsaturation in the chain, side chain, so we termed it as tocotrienol. Is it clear? Okay. Now come to absorption and distribution, which we have discussed with almost all the previous 2 vitamins which are fat soluble, and all of you now know that bile salts are required for the absorption of fat soluble contents and fat soluble vitamins too. So for the vitamin E, which is again hydrophobic in nature, it is hydrophobic in nature, it absorbs similarly to the other dietary lipid with the help of bile acid, from the small intestine. In the slide I have explained that how it is absorbed and then how it is transported to the liver, and then once it is distributed within the body, the metabolism which is taking place within the liver, because there are enzymes which are responsible for the metabolism, then it is eliminated or excreted with the help of bile duct again into the intestine, and few amount and few portion is eliminated within urine. Okay, so this picture is clearly indicating all the mechanism behind the absorption and elimination. So after the bile salts, chylomicrons are required to transport and take vitamin E from the small intestine to transport it into the liver. While free tocopherol and their esters are readily absorbed in small intestine with the help of bile acid. Once it is transported to the liver, then with the help of lipoprotein, and lipoproteins are LDL, VLDL, it is then transported to the entire system or the different tissue where it is needed or where it is required to produce its physiological function or its physiological role or biochemical role too. Is it clear? That once it is entering into the liver, then with the help of lipoprotein, it is transported to the general circulation and to the different areas and tissues where it is required to perform its biochemical role and physiological function in the different organs. It can store, like other fatty components and fatty vitamins, in the adipose tissues. It can store in adipose tissue. As far as its excretion is concerned, about 25% is excreted in urine. 25% is excreted in urine, while 75% is excreted by the bile into the intestine, and with the help of fecal route it will be eliminated out from the body. Okay, now come to the daily recommended allowance. Daily recommended allowance for children is 10 to 15 international unit per day. 10 to 15 international unit per day, while for the adults, either men and women, 20 to 25 international units per day are required. 20 to 25% units are required. It is important to know about the conversion of milligram into international unit in case of vitamin E, because 1 milligram of D-alpha tocopherol, 1 milligram of D-alpha tocopherol is equal to 1.49 international unit. 1.49 international unit, while 1 milligram of DL-alpha tocopherol. What does it mean, DL? D stands for dextrorotatory and L stands for levorotatory. So when a combined mixture or a racemic mixture which is containing both a special type of arrangement, so the DL-alpha tocopherol 1 milligram is equals to 1 international unit of racemic mixture of vitamin E. Here an important thing is that is need to be noted, that the requirement of vitamin E is also depending upon the dietary intake of other antioxidants. If the person is taking sufficient amount of other antioxidants, for example vitamin C and glutathione, so in that case the requirement of vitamin E is ultimately reduced. Okay? If the person is taking sufficient amount of other antioxidant vitamin, so the amount which is daily recommended, included in daily recommended allowance, can be minimized or can be reduced. Now come to the conversion of units, international units into milligram and milligram into international unit. 1 milligram of alpha tocopherol, this is the first conversion in which we are converting from milligram to international unit. 1 milligram of alpha tocopherol, as I said, is equivalent to 1.49 international unit of natural vitamin E. While 1 milligram of alpha tocopherol is equal to 2.22 international unit of synthetic form. Now you can understand that synthetic form is containing more amount as compared to natural form in terms of international unit when it is administered. While if we convert one international unit into milligram, then 1 international unit of natural form is equal to 0.67 milligram. 0.67 milligram, while 1 international unit of synthetic form is equal to 0.45 milligram of alpha tocopherol. Now you can convert, if I will give you any equation which is related with the conversion, you can convert and determine the international unit amount or milligram amount. Now come to the functions. Main function and property of vitamin E is to act as an antioxidant vitamin. And being an antioxidant agent, it is responsible to react with reactive oxygen species or scavenge reactive oxygen species, which are responsible for injury in the muscles, and they are highly reactive with the membrane unsaturated lipid. The reactive oxygen species or ROS can produce peroxidative stress by reacting with unsaturated fatty lipids which are present in the membrane. So the integrity of membrane is lost. Vitamin E, what is the role of vitamin E and other antioxidants? That they scavenge that reactive oxygen species which is developing or producing during metabolic reactions within the cell, which is producing by the chemical reactions, and that reactive species is ultimately removed with the help of antioxidants components which are circulating in the body. If these are absent, what will happen? The reactive oxygen species will break and penetrate within the lipid bilayer, and it will be responsible for the damage of cellular membrane. And I told you previously that if this reactive oxygen species is present in the intestinal lining, not intestinal lining but in the coronary or in the vessel lining, so what it will do, it will damage first and then make a plaque in terms of fatty deposition as well as platelet aggregation, and resulting is the narrowing of vessel and artery. So insufficient blood supply will lead to develop the cardiac illness. Okay? Led to the development of cardiac illness, and sometimes these reactive oxygen species can damage or necrose the cell wall, and ultimately there is generation of cancerous cell or development of cancerous cell will take place. Is that clear? So what is happening when this function of antioxidant is performed by vitamin E? The tocopheroxy free radical, it is a product formed during this process. Tocopheroxy free radical, it is a product which is formed during this reaction, which is known as antioxidant property. This tocopheroxyl is relatively unreactive. And it ultimately synthesizes non-radical compound. Now this tocopheroxyl, which is synthesized during the reaction by scavenging reactive oxygen species, means itself it is oxidized and reduce the cellular membrane. Now this tocopheroxyl radical can reduce with the help of other antioxidants, which are either glutathione or vitamin C. Is that clear? मीन्स इसी वजह से इसकी जो रिक्वायरमेंट है वो कम हो सकती है अगर हम दूसरे सफिशिएंट अमाउंट के एंटीऑक्सीडेंट्स ले रहे हैं डाइट में, तो हमें विटामिन ई की रिक्वायरमेंट ऑटोमेटिकली कम हो जाएगी। और होता क्या है, विटामिन ई जो है वो स्कैवेंज करता है रिएक्टिव ऑक्सीजन स्पीशी को, खुद को वो बीमार कर लेता है, लेकिन आपकी जो सेल वॉल है, जो आपके सेलुलर सिस्टम है, उसको वो बचा लेता है उस फ्री रेडिकल इंजरी से, और खुद ये फ्री रेडिकल में कन्वर्ट हो जाता है, मीन्स ऑक्सीडाइज हो जाता है और रिड्यूस कर देता है अदर फॉर्म को। अब ये रिड्यूस होकर रिसाइकल बैक हो सकता है विद द हेल्प ऑफ अदर एंटीऑक्सीडेंट्स विच आर प्रेजेंट इन द बॉडी, एंड दीज आर विटामिन सी एज वेल एज ग्लूटाथायोन। ये टेंडेंसी सिर्फ विटामिन ई में है कि वो रिवर्सिबल रिएक्शन दे सकता है अपनी रिडक्शन एंड ऑक्सीडेशन के रिएक्शन में, लेकिन विटामिन सी के साथ ऐसा नहीं है। Now come to the function that being an antioxidant, it serves as a membrane antioxidant. That is the first function. It serves as a membrane antioxidant. The second important role of vitamin E is to prevent hemolysis of RBCs. Means it protects blood cells from damage by reactive oxygen species. It protects RBCs. It protects RBCs or cell membrane of RBCs from oxidative damages. ठीक है? Third function is it prevents oxidized LDL formation. Oxidized LDL formation. What is the role of oxidized LDL formation? Once LDL is oxidized, it will make a plaque within the vessel, and ultimately it narrowed coronary arteries and other small arteries which are supplying blood to the different organs as well as to the heart. Coronary है तो it is supplying blood to the heart. So once it is narrowed, it will develop ischemic heart disease, and if it will remain and it is left untreated, it will result myocardial infarction or heart damage. So this is the function of vitamin E, that it prevent oxidized LDL formation. How? It will itself oxidize and make LDL free in the reduced form. While the fourth function is the same, that it prevent coronary artery disease. It prevents coronary artery disease. Now come to the deficiency of vitamin E. Usually the deficiency of vitamin E arises if there is insufficient intake or dietary intake only in severe malabsorption. Only in severe malabsorption deficiency can occur. Otherwise there are rare chances of deficiency. There are rare chances of deficiency. If there is any problem in the bile synthesis or bile duct, for example cholestasis, or if there is any obstruction in the bile duct, then absorption can be minimized or blocked due to the absence of bile salt. So the deficiency can arise. If there is deficiency of lipoproteins which are responsible for the transport of vitamin E, in that case deficiency may occur. In case of obstructive jaundice, pancreatitis is the inflammation of pancreas. In that case, deficiency is also observed. Along with that, if there is steatorrhea is the problem in which excessive amount of fatty components are eliminated from the fecal route or by the fecal route. So in that case, there is low fatty components which are helping in the transport. So therefore vitamin E deficiency can arise. Steatorrhea, that is the condition in which there is loss of fatty component from the GI tract. Loss of fatty component from the GI tract. So that can minimize the absorption of vitamin E. Now, due to the deficiency, what type of illnesses can arise? Anemia, because it is protecting cell wall of the RBCs, so there may be anemia. Why the anemia is arising? Because the integrity of cell is damaged and disturbed, and when it will become fragile, and when it passes from the narrow vessels, it will ultimately damage. So that may be the leading cause of anemia. It can cause muscular dystrophy. Now, what is the reason? Because vitamin E deficiency leads to increase oxidation of polyunsaturated fatty acid in the muscles. Deficiency of vitamin E increase the oxidation of polyunsaturated fatty acid in the muscle, with a consecutive rise in oxygen consumption and peroxide production. With a consecutive rise in oxygen consumption and peroxide production, and these peroxide may cause an increase in intracellular hydroxylase enzyme, which is indicating damage in the muscle due to the reactive oxygen species. Another problem that can be seen with the deficiency of vitamin E is the dietary hepatic necrosis. Dietary hepatic necrosis. When the diet low in a chemical amino acid, that is cysteine, and it is rich in polyunsaturated fatty acid, when diet low in cysteine and rich in polyunsaturated fatty acid, can cause hepatic necrosis. Can cause hepatic necrosis. So vitamin E and selenium having role to protect liver cell from the damaging effect of rich polyunsaturated fatty acid, which are undergoing into peroxidation and synthesizing free radical. ये डाइटरी है, क्योंकि डाइट में अगर सिस्टीन नहीं है और फैटी एसिड जो है वो ज़्यादा वहाँ पर बच जाएंगे, लिवर में ज़्यादा हो जाएंगे. सिस्टीन क्या करता है, उसको कम कर रहा होता है, उसको कन्वर्जन उसका बना रहा होता है. जब फैटी एसिड ज़्यादा होंगे तो इसको कैसे प्रिवेंट किया जा सकता है? इसको प्रिवेंट किया जा सकता है अगर आप सेलेनियम सफिशिएंट अमाउंट में लें, और अगर आप विटामिन ई, तो ये प्रिवेंटिव मेजर होगा. मीन्स अभी से मैं ले रही हूँ, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, इट इज़ प्रिवेंटिव मेजर, कि हम उस चीज़ को रोक रहे हैं जो अल्टीमेटली फ्यूचर में हो सकती है. तो उसको रोकने का ये तरीका है कि हम विटामिन ई और सेलेनियम की सफिशिएंट अमाउंट अपनी डाइट में रखें. तो जो हेपेटिक नेक्रोसिस है रिलेटेड विद द डाइटरी इनटेक ऑफ एक्सेसिव पॉलीअनसैचुरेटेड फैटी एसिड, जो कि लीडिंग कॉज होंगे इस तरह की नेक्रोसिस का, को मिनिमाइज कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. Now come to hypervitaminosis. Like other vitamin, for example, vitamin D and vitamin A, it is seen that the toxicity which is related with hypervitaminosis or excessive intake of vitamin is found rare, but it is only observed if there is prolonged use of prolonged or chronic administration of 300 to 1200 milligram of vitamin E. Use 300 to 1200 milligram of vitamin E when administered per day for the long period of time. Then it may cause hypervitaminosis and toxic manifestation which are related with excessive vitamin E in the body. And what kind of those toxications and toxicities which are related with excessive vitamin E intake chronically? One is thrombophlebitis. Thrombophlebitis. Pulmonary embolism. Pulmonary embolism. What is embolism and thrombus? Embolism is a moving clot and thrombus is the intact clot. Hypertension. Hypertension and enlargement of breast in the men and children. Enlargement of breast in the men and children. Severe fatigue. Severe fatigue and sometimes non-malignant tumor development in the breast is observed. Non-malignant tumor development is observed in the breast of vitamin E will slow down the progression of Alzheimer illness. Alzheimer is a brain disease which is related with what? Forgettiveness, and there is dementia, a type of memory loss. A type of memory loss which is usually associated with the elderly people. But in 2004 there has been a research which has reported that we can slow down, we can prevent the progression of Alzheimer disease if we are taking 200 international units of vitamin E per day. But the news failed to report was that a diet rich in food containing vitamin E may help protect some people against Alzheimer disease.